Jaden Smith tried to warn people about his own mother, and now that warning is blowing up everywhere because of Jada Pinkett Smith. What once looked like a perfect Hollywood family is starting to look way more complicated.
Okay, so I've been tagged in that video a lot, and it's because Jaden Smith is giving an interview to Complex, and that's a quote from the 2008 film Twilight. But what I feel like people aren't talking about enough is that, first of all, everything he says in that interview, I think, is a movie quote, but also Twilight gets quoted.
Some people close to them are saying Jada wasn't just struggling as a partner, but may have also fallen short as a parent in ways that left a real mark on Jaden that still shows today. Jaden Smith is 27 years old now, and if you just glance at his life, it screams success. Big name parents, acting roles since he was young, music, fashion, his own brand, every opportunity was right there for him. But when you actually watch how things play out, it feels different, almost unsettling. In February 2026, things got strange fast. Jaden was in the middle of a red carpet interview when a reporter mentioned a designer connected to Kanye, and just like that, he walked off. No explanation, no warning, he just turned around and left. The reporter was left stunned and said, "I guess we'll never find out." And that wasn't the only moment that raised eyebrows. Back in October 2024, Jaden sat through a 45-minute press interview and answered every single question using lines from the Twilight movies. Right there in the middle of a serious interview, he was pulling handwritten quotes out of his pocket and reading them like it was normal. He even told Billboard, and these are his exact words: "The older I get, the more scared I get to even just walk outside. Now, it takes a lot for me to just get out of my bedroom, out of my house." Those were his words, and they hit different when you really sit with them. Jaden even made an entire EP while locked in a studio with his therapist, breaking down in tears as he worked. He said he hoped future psychologists might study the project and try to understand what he was going through, like he was leaving clues behind about his own struggle. People online are quick to label him as just quirky or call him a weird Nepo baby. But what if that's way off? What if this isn't just a personality trait at all? What if Jaden's behavior is actually a signal that something deeper has been going on this whole time? In this video, everything gets put on the table. The hidden cracks in his parents' marriage that stayed out of sight for years, the complicated friendships that raised eyebrows, the rumors that followed Will, and moments on camera that people still question today. Then there's the schooling choices, the industry connections, and why so many people online are now asking serious questions about the environments Jaden was exposed to. Everything here is based on real clips, real interviews, things you can actually find. It's all been out there, just never fully pieced together like this until now. And when you look at the full pattern over the past few years, it starts to feel hard to ignore what's really happening with Jaden.
You tweeted, actively working on being more weird. Why is it important to you to be weird?
Because I went through a lot of my life trying to be normal, and it was a really big deal for me for a long time that people thought that I was very much so normal, and that bothered me after a while. And I started to feel like people didn't really understand me or see me, and it's like I wasn't really trying to show anybody that, you know. And sometimes it's like so frustrating to watch people try to follow the normal thing to do when you know that's not what they really want to do. And their art and everything, I actively try to be myself, you know.
And is being yourself being weird?
February 2026, Jaden is out on the red carpet at the Coulda Been Love Season 2 premiere when things suddenly take a sharp turn. Complex journalist Jillian Hardiman-Webb asks him about his work with designer Jaden Smith, who previously worked on Kanye's Yeezy line. The second she says Yee's name, Jaden's whole energy shifts. He looks up, turns around, and walks straight off the carpet like he just heard something he didn't want to hear. No explanation, no comment, nothing. Just gone in seconds. The reporter is left standing there and says, "I guess we'll never find out." And honestly, that moment stuck with people. And here's the thing. This wasn't even the first time Kanye's name was tied to a reaction like that. Back in October 2022, Jaden walked out of Kanye's own YZY Season 9 fashion show in Paris. The second Ye came out wearing that White Lives Matter shirt, Jaden made it clear where he stood. He posted, "I can't stand behind what Kanye's saying. He does not have the full support of the youth." That wasn't subtle at all. Then just weeks after that 2026 red carpet moment, Jaden is spotted in Paris again, and this time it's chaos in a different way. He's on camera yelling, "Bro, ice is falling from the sky. You're not supposed to be able to catch rain in your hand." He's reacting to hail like it's something unreal, something shocking. And yeah, it might sound funny at first, but when you stack moment after moment like this, it starts to feel like there's something deeper going on. But when you line all of this up together, it stops being funny real quick and starts feeling a lot heavier. Then there's that moment at the Louis Vuitton show where Jaden showed up carrying a $47,000 miniature dollhouse bag. And he didn't just hold it, he gave a full on-camera tour like it was the main event, pointing out the tiny balcony, the tiny owl, every little detail like it really mattered in that moment. Fast forward to October 2024, and things get even stranger.
Just pull out. Sometimes I wonder if I was seeing the same things through my eyes that the rest of the world was seeing through theirs. Or maybe there was a glitch in my brain.
Complex reporter Eric Skelton said it was one of the most unusual interviews he had ever done. For 45 minutes straight, Jaden answered questions by quoting lines from the Twilight movies. Mid-conversation, he's pulling handwritten quotes out of his pocket and reading them like that's the normal way to respond. Then the next day, Jaden posts on X and says, "All the weird shit you've ever seen me do was me thinking I was totally normal. At the end of the day, I've been trying to fit in this whole time, and I guess it's not exactly going to plan." That message hit people hard because it sounded real and unfiltered. And then there's the EP from 2024. He made that project side by side with his therapist, and he described the process as me crying in the studio. He even said he hopes future psychologists listen to it and figure out what was really going on with him, like he was leaving behind pieces of a bigger story. She had previously been on Prozac, but Jaden said psychedelics helped him break through something deeper. He explained it like this: you get to a place where you are blocked by something, whether it's a trauma or your emotions or ego not being able to express yourself. Psychedelics are a way to tear down that wall and see what is beyond it. That's how he chose to describe it in his own words. But here's what stands out. He never actually says what that trauma is. Not in that interview, not anywhere else. He stood in front of thousands of people, thanked his mother for introducing him to those substances, and talked about trying to reach something he still refuses to name in public. He openly says he was blocked by trauma, but what happened, he doesn't say. And strangely, nobody seems to press him on it either. That alone should have people paying closer attention, because that's not a small thing to just brush past. Then you add in what was happening inside the family behind closed doors, and it gets even more complicated. In October 2023, Jada Pinkett Smith released her memoir, Worthy, and buried inside was a major reveal.
I want to pitch up you again. It's the time, bro.
How are you, bro?
Yeah, this is my brother Sebastian. He records it and shit.
Fine.
Yeah, I
You
want
wanna fit check me?
Yeah.
Go ahead and fit.
She and Will Smith had actually been separated since 2016, 7 full years before the public knew anything about it. She had moved out, bought her own place, and they kept it completely hidden. Not the press, not the public. And even the way it was handled inside the family wasn't open. Jaden and Willow were living in the middle of that reality while the world still saw a united front. Jada later said on the Today Show, "By the time we got to 2016, we were just exhausted with trying. I think we were both kind of just still stuck in our fantasy of what we thought the other person should be. And hearing that now, it puts a whole different lens on what the kids were experiencing during those years." She called it completely separate lives. And when you really break that down, it hits different when you look at it through Jaden's perspective. Back in 2016, Jaden was just 18 years old. From 18 to 25, he was living with the reality that his parents' marriage was basically over, all while watching them stand side by side in public like everything was fine. Red carpets, interviews, appearances, they were presenting a picture to the world that didn't match what was actually happening behind the scenes. Then the 2022 Oscars moment happens and it shocks everyone. Will goes on stage, slaps Chris Rock on live TV, calls Jada his wife, and the whole room reacts in real time. But later, Jada says she was confused by it because, in her own words, "We haven't called each other husband and wife in a long time." That detail changes how people look at that moment completely. And the whole time, Jaden already knew the truth. He had been carrying that knowledge for years, while the world saw something totally different. According to a source close to Jaden and Willow, speaking to the Daily Mail, the siblings actually felt relieved when the secret finally came out. That says a lot about how heavy that situation must have been behind closed doors. Keeping that kind of secret put them in a really uncomfortable position, and it didn't stop there. On top of the separation, Jada also shared in her memoir that she had gone through serious mental health struggles, including suicidal thoughts. She said she turned to ayahuasca, a powerful psychedelic, to pull herself back from that place. She also described Will's planned 40th birthday celebration for her as the most ridiculous display of his ego, which says a lot about the tension inside that household. This is the environment Jaden was growing up in, and it only gets more intense. In 2019, Will and Jada stepped in because Jaden's health was declining while he was on a strict vegan diet. Jada said he was wasting away.
What takes up most of your time? What's a day in your life like?
You know, I'd never really given much thought to how I would die, but dying in the place of someone I love seemed like a pretty good way to go.
And Will mentioned dark circles and a gray tone to his skin. Instead of keeping it private, they filmed the situation and posted it to Facebook for everyone to see. Then comes the situation that went viral everywhere. Jada had a relationship with singer August Alsina, who was known to be close to the family, and she later talked about it publicly. In 2020, she sat down on Red Table Talk with Will right next to her and confirmed it. She called it an entanglement, and that word exploded online. It turned into jokes, memes, and headlines all over the place. But while everyone was laughing and repeating that word, a key part of the story didn't get nearly enough attention. And when you look at it from Jaden's point of view, it starts to feel very different than how it was being talked about online. August Alsina was not just some random person who appeared out of nowhere. Jaden Smith personally brought him into the family. That was his friend, someone he trusted, someone close to his circle, and that's where things start to look a lot more complicated. Jada ended up forming a relationship with someone who came into her life through her own son, and that alone raised a lot of questions for people watching from the outside. But there's another layer that didn't get enough attention at the time. August had already opened up publicly about his struggles before all of this. In an interview on The Breakfast Club, he talked about having no real support system, a distant relationship with his mother, and losing his father.
What a sick, masochistic lion.
He also shared that he had been dealing with serious depression and had even faced thoughts about ending his own life. On top of that, he was dealing with major physical health issues too. He was in a vulnerable place, both mentally and physically, when all of this was happening. And that context changes how a lot of people view the situation. Comedian D.L. Hewley spoke on it and put it into a different perspective. He said, "Imagine if Will Smith had gotten involved with one of Willow's friends under similar circumstances." His exact words were, "You can't tell me if that were Will, he'd never be saving the world again." And DL didn't stop there, because once that point was on the table, the conversation only got more intense. DL Hewley didn't hold back when he talked about it. He said he was sick, he was mentally sick, he was emotionally sick. That's predatory. It isn't just you having an affair. And that comment hit hard because it shifted how people looked at the whole situation. Then you have to think about it from Jaden's side, and it gets even heavier. He brought his friend into his home, someone he trusted and vouched for. Then he watched his mother build a relationship with that same person, and after that, he watched the internet turn it into jokes and memes like it was nothing. Meanwhile, August himself has spoken about still dealing with the impact, which makes the whole situation feel a lot more serious than how it was treated online. Jaden didn't just see headlines, he lived it. He saw it happen up close, to someone he personally brought into that space. Then there's another side of this story that has been floating around for years, mostly through rumors and online talk. Will Smith has faced speculation about his personal life dating back decades, with people making different claims and interpretations over time. In 2016, actress Alexis Arquette made a public statement about Will's past relationship, and others, like Tisha Campbell, posted messages that people interpreted in different ways online. None of that was ever fully confirmed, but it kept the conversation going. And then there are moments that actually happened on camera that people still bring up. In one interview, Jaden told Hip Hollywood that Will would try to kiss him on set and after filming. He said it made him uncomfortable and called it embarrassing. Will, on the other hand, explained it as him showing love, which only added more discussion around those moments. When you stack all these stories, clips, and statements together, it creates a picture that people are still trying to fully understand today. Your own son is telling you on camera more than once to stop, and it still keeps happening. That's the part that made a lot of people uncomfortable when those clips started circulating. Jaguar Wright spoke on this directly in a recorded interview in May 2024. She pointed to multiple clips of Will trying to kiss Jaden and said it crossed the line. When talking about the Smith family, she connected those moments to bigger claims and questions about what may have been happening inside that household. Then there's Jaden's own identity, which people have been talking about publicly since he was a teenager. Back in 2016, he showed up to prom wearing a dress, and it immediately got attention. Over time, he's been described as gender fluid by many, but he has never clearly confirmed or denied any label. In 2018, at Camp Flog Gnaw Carnival, Jaden grabbed the mic and told the crowd, "Tyler, the creator, is my boyfriend. He's been my boyfriend my whole life."
What is something you've just been thinking about a lot lately?
Deep underground military bases.
How did you start thinking about that?
You know, it's the fluorescence. Yeah.
What's a recent obsession of yours?
Plato's caves.
Has it made you think about the current world differently?
Yes. I think it's just,
Tyler was right there in the crowd and reacted by shaking his head, which only made the moment even more talked about. People close to Jaden have pointed out something that keeps showing up in clips over and over again. Jada rarely shows public affection toward him, while Will's approach has sometimes been seen as going too far, especially in moments where Jaden is clearly asking him to stop. That contrast stands out, and when you watch enough of those clips back to back, it starts to tell its own story. Then you bring Justin Bieber into the picture and things start to overlap in a way people can't ignore. Jaden and Justin have been genuinely close since around 2010. Not just industry acquaintances, but real friends who spent years around each other. In July 2024, for Jaden's 26th birthday, Justin posted, "Jaden Smith was the best thing to happen when I was young. Knowing him is one of the greatest honors of my life." That message showed how deep that connection really goes. Then in April 2024 at Coachella, a fan video went viral. It showed Jaden sneaking up behind Justin backstage and wrapping his arms around him. Justin immediately lights up when he realizes it's Jaden. They hug and Justin kisses him on the cheek. At the time, TMZ called it a sweet moment, and that's how most people saw it. But everything shifted later that year. In September 2024, after Diddy's arrest made headlines, that same clip started circulating again, and people began looking at it differently. Around that time, older videos of a teenage Justin, around 15 or 16, appearing uncomfortable in certain situations were going viral too. And once those clips started spreading, the internet began connecting dots and asking a lot more questions than before. And here's where it starts getting harder to ignore, because when you really look at Jaden and Justin side by side, the similarities stand out in a big way. The same unpredictable public moments, the same emotional tone in interviews, and the same reaction from people watching, everyone asking what is really going on with them. Both of them grew up in the spotlight as child stars. Both moved through the same entertainment circles at a young age, and both had parents connected to powerful people in the industry. Over time, some of those connections have come under serious legal scrutiny, which only adds more attention to everything surrounding them. Through all of it, Jaden and Justin stayed close. And now there's a question that keeps coming up again and again, one that nobody has clearly answered yet. Is their bond just friendship, or is it tied to shared experiences they haven't spoken about publicly? That's what people keep wondering. Then you zoom out even further and a bigger pattern starts to show up. Back in 2008, Will and Jada opened a private school called the New Village Leadership Academy. Jaden and Willow were both enrolled there, and at first it looked like an innovative project. But things didn't stay quiet for long. The school eventually shut down after concerns were raised by parents. Reports claimed that many of the teachers were connected to Scientology, and that parts of the curriculum were based on study methods developed by L. Ron Hubbard. Will and Jada denied any official ties, but the conversation didn't stop there. Leah Remini, who left Scientology and later wrote Troublemaker, Surviving Hollywood and Scientology, went on record with her own claims, adding even more attention to the situation. And once that piece gets added into the bigger picture, it starts to feel like there's a whole system behind the scenes that people are still trying to fully understand. I know Jada's in. She's been in Scientology a long time. I never saw Will there, but I saw Jada at the Celebrity Center all the time. That statement added even more fuel to an already intense conversation. Now here's where people say it starts to matter more for Jaden specifically. A former celebrity bodyguard known as Big Homie CC, who works security at multiple high-profile events, including ones connected to Diddy, has spoken publicly on several platforms. He claimed that powerful figures sometimes use compromising situations as leverage, saying, part of Epstein's thing was to get people in precarious situations, and then you have this footage that you can use against them to control policy. He also added, I'm a person who believes that Epstein's list is very similar to Diddy's list. Then Jaguar Wright took things even further in a recorded interview. She connected those ideas to Scientology, claiming they spy on each other's people for each other. She also said, a lot of people farm out their gaslighting work to them for a profit, which brought even more attention to those claims. She even mentioned the Smith family directly and suggested that something may have affected their children, which made people stop and really look at the bigger picture. And once you start lining up the timeline with all these statements, interviews, and claims, it raises a lot of serious questions people are still trying to figure out. Jada was linked by some to an organization that critics have accused of using influence and control over powerful people, and at the same time, Diddy was later facing serious legal trouble of his own. Will was known to attend high-profile parties, and their children were growing up around major industry spaces connected to all of this from a very young age. Then in September 2024, right after Diddy's arrest made headlines, something unexpected happened. Will stopped his concert mid-show in San Diego and told the crowd out of nowhere, I want to say this very clear. I don't have shit to do with Puffy, so y'all can stop all the memes. Nobody had even asked him in that moment, which made people question why he felt the need to say it right then. Now this is where the conversation gets even more intense online. D.L. Hewley made a strong claim, saying Jada allegedly allowed industry access around Jaden while also being involved with younger people in that same age range. That statement got people talking fast, even though it remains an allegation and not something proven. Whether that access was social, professional, or something else entirely, people keep pointing back to the same thing, the pattern they believe they're seeing. The clips exist, the interviews are out there, and Jaden's public appearances continue to spark concern and curiosity. When you step back and look at everything together, certain moments start to connect. Jaden brought his friend into his life, trusted that connection, and then watched things unfold in a way that the public later turned into headlines and jokes. And when you add that to everything else surrounding his upbringing, it leaves people asking questions that still haven't been clearly answered. He had documented proximity to major industry figures as a teenager. His mother was connected to a school that raised questions about outside influence, and his father has faced years of rumors and very public moments that people still debate today. There are even clips where Jaden is clearly uncomfortable, telling him to stop, and those moments are still being replayed. And then you have Jaden himself saying he spent years feeling blocked by some kind of trauma he still hasn't named. He openly talked about trying to work through it in ways he believed would help him understand what he was dealing with. His own words from October 2024 say it all. All the weird shit you've ever seen me do was me thinking I was totally normal. At the end of the day, I've been trying to fit in this whole time, and I guess it's not exactly going to plan. That doesn't sound like someone just being different for attention. That sounds like someone trying to figure themselves out in real time. Because when someone grows up in a stable and supportive environment, you don't usually see this level of public confusion and emotional struggle play out over and over again. Something clearly affected him, and whatever it is, it hasn't been fully explained. Everything in this video is based on real footage, real interviews, and real statements. What's missing is the part that hasn't been said out loud yet. Now I want to hear from you. Do you think Jaden was failed by his parents, or is there something deeper that still hasn't come to light? Drop your thoughts in the comments, make sure to like, subscribe, and share this video so more people can see it.